Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being, and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another not by creed, but by covenant, and we are called to love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here.
Good morning. I'm Lucy Humphrey, this morning's worship coordinator. Allie and I are joined today by Hannah Shanefield and Yulia Yoon in leading worship. We couldn't do this without the tech team, the greeters, ushers, worship team, coffee hour hosts, musicians, and the Arlington Street Choir. Thank you, friends. If you're new to Arlington Street, welcome. We're so glad to have you here and would love to stay connected. I hope you will visit our website at ascboston.org and sign up for Snapshot, our weekly e-newsletter. On the last pages of the order of service, you'll find information on upcoming Arlington Street events. There is lots going on, both in person and on Zoom, and we'd love to see you this week. If you'd like to submit an announcement, please email the church office at office@ascboston.org by Wednesday evening so it can be included in the e-newsletter and the order of service. If you came this morning with a joy or sorrow on your heart, you are invited to light a candle at home and share in the chat, or come up and light a silent candle at the table to the right of the Gleason podium. I hope all of you in the in-person congregation will plan to join us in the Hunnewell Chapel right through the leather door up front after the service. Those of you on Zoom are invited to stay on for remote fellowship as well. Now, Michael is going to turn the camera on the in-person congregation as we wave and smile at each other, as well as at our friends in the Zoom room. And you in the Zoom room can all wave and smile back. Hello, friends. Let's all engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart. Whether you've been coming here for years or today is your very first time in Arlington Street, welcome home.
Today falls within the festival of Hanukkah for our Jewish neighbors. Hanukkah is known as the Festival of Lights and honors a time thousands of years ago when Jews were ordered to stop practicing their religion. When they refused, the king ordered that their temple be destroyed. When they returned to their ransacked temple, they found enough oil to burn for one day, but the oil miraculously burned for 8 days. Jews light a Chanukiah every night of Hanukkah to honor this miracle. Today, much thanks for Hannah's help, we light our candles to commemorate tonight's 5th night of Hanukkah.
Baruch atah Adoshem, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu, Ayamim Chaim Lazman Hazeh.
Before we light our chalice this morning, I want to share that our beloved Art Oxnard passed away last night. Art, with support of his wife Eleanor, decided to transition to hospice care at home about a month ago. We send our love to Eleanor and to all who love Art. And I send my love to all of you who have been sitting metta for Art, sending messages of encouragement and support through Art's Caring Bridge page, and all who have held love and care in your heart for Art and Eleanor. Art, may what you hoped for be both true and exceeded. May you have peace. May all who love you have peace. May you be filled with loving kindness, and may you be well. We light our chalice today with words adapted from Michaela Ezra. When we share something material, we are left with less of what we started, but currencies of spirit, elements such as light, love, and knowledge defy these physical conditions. They increase as they are shared and become eternal. When we use one flame to light another, the glow is not halved, the light is multiplied. Our opening hymn this morning is Light One Candle, which can be found as number 221 in your gray hymnal, with the words also printed in your order of service and in the Zoom chat. Please rise in body, rise in spirit, and join in singing Light One Candle.
Candle for the Maccabee children, give thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, let anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is this memory that's valued so highly that we keep alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died when we cry out they've not died in vain? We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Whether together or apart, may we stay very close. Let's join now in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
A candle of sorrow for the victims of today's plane crash in South Korea. We send our love for the 179 people killed and all those who love him. And we send our love to the 2 survivors. May all who grieved loved ones taken in an instant in this tragedy and in all tragedies find boundless compassion and seeds of peace. A candle of sorrow from our intern minister, Kel Alford, whose mom passed away at home in Denver on hospice care Friday morning. Kel, we love you. May you trust in all of the careful, loving ways you have tended to your mom during this long journey. May your mom, you, and all who love her have peace. May you have what you most need as you grieve. And a final candle of sorrow for all who are grieving, for losses spoken and unspoken, losses clear and losses undefined. This can be a hard time for many. If you find yourself in this place, we send you gentle, tender care.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Some of us come today in joy. We share your joy.
A candle of joy from Arlington Street. Joy for all the good done around this holiday time, for resources donated, for meals shared, for invitations extended, for kindness multiplied, for all moments when we took care of each other. This rarely makes the news, and yet it transforms hearts and lives. A candle of thanks from Ariel Distel to the ASC congregation. I am very thankful for your thoughts and prayers throughout the last few weeks. I am nicely recovering in a rehab facility, and I'm so thankful for all those who have visited. And a final candle of joy from the ASC Zen Center. Welcome to Kathy McCann, online member of Buddha Group and Poetry Group, who is joining us live for the very first time. It's so wonderful to meet you in person. Welcome.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and
the sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, for our country, for all nations, and for all beings. Amen.
Please join in saying the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación, y el servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor, y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. Let us join now in singing together hymn number 77, Seek Not Afar for Beauty. The words can be found in the gray hymnal. Let us rise in body, rise in spirit, and sing together.
Seek not afar for beauty, though it glows in dewed grasses all about thy feet, in birds in sunshine, childish faces sweet, in stars and mountain summits topped with snow.
This reading is adapted from Barbara Cooney's children's book, Miss Rumphius. The lupine lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. In between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The lupine lady is little and old, but she has not always been that way. I know. She is my great aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice who lived in a city by the sea. From the front stoop, she could see the wharves and the bristling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large ship. In the evening, Alice sat on her grandfather's knee and listened to his stories of faraway places. When he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too will go to faraway places, and when I grow old, I too will live beside the sea." "That's all very well, little Alice," said her grandfather, "but there is a third thing you must do." "What is that?" asked Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful." "All right," said Alice, but she did not know what that could be. In the meantime, Alice got up and washed her face and ate her breakfast. She went to school and came home and did her homework, and pretty soon she was grown up. Then my great-aunt Alice set out to do the 3 things she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home and went to live in another city far from the sea. People call her Miss Rumphius now. My great-aunt, Miss Alice Rumphius, climbed tall mountains where the snow never melted. She went through jungles and deserts, and everywhere she made friends she would never forget. Finally, she came to the land of the lotus eaters, and there, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. "Well, I have certainly seen faraway places. Maybe it is time to find my place by the sea." And she did. Miss Rumphius was almost perfectly happy. "But there is still one more thing I have to do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." But what? The next spring, Miss Rumphius was not very well. She had to stay in bed most of the time. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground. She could see them from her bedroom window. Lupines. I have always loved them best. I wish I could plant more seeds this summer, but she was not able to. After a hard winter, spring came. Miss Rumphius was feeling much better. Now she could take walks again. "I don't believe my eyes," she said when she got to the top of the hill. There was a large patch of lupines. It was the wind. Then Miss Rumphius had a wonderful idea. She hurried home and got out her seed catalogs. All that summer, Miss Rumphius, her pockets full of seeds, wandered over fields and headlands sowing lupines. She scattered seeds along highways, down country lanes. She flung handfuls of them around the schoolhouse and the church, and next spring, they were everywhere. Fields and hillsides were covered with blue and purple and rose. Miss Rumphius had done the 3rd most difficult thing of all. My great-aunt Alice is now very old. Every year, there are more and more lupines. Now they call her the Lupine Lady. Often she tells us stories of faraway places. When I grow up, I tell her, I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea. "That is all very well, little Alice," she says, "but there is a 3rd thing you must do. You must do something to make the world more beautiful." "All right," I say, "but I do not know yet what that can be." Well, it is December 29th. How are we doing? In a study about holiday stress and the brain, Harvard Medical School found that 62% of respondents described their stress level as very or somewhat elevated during the holidays. Only 10% reported no stress during this season. And it makes sense. Family dynamics can be painful. Finances can be stressful. There's a lot of pressure and not always a lot of support. The holidays, quite simply, can be hard. And then there's the recent election and the very near inauguration of a new administration. Many of us are overwhelmed or afraid. It can be a scary place out there. There are treasures in here, and in here. This is a time of year when our culture often pulls at us to assess what changes we can make in our lives. What habits do we want to stop? What goals do we want to set? How do we want our lives to be different? How do we want to be better? I don't know about you, but my post-holiday and post-election heart is tired. It has worked hard. How about yours? I hope for all of us a much gentler entrance into the new year. Rather than ask you about what you want to change about yourself, I'd like to invite you to take some stock of your treasures, to spend some time basking in your skills, values, characteristics, experiences, resources, and the regrets that you've learned from. These are incredible treasures. Most days, I'm a hospital chaplain, and when I talk about my work, I change identifying details to protect my patients and colleagues, but keep the essence of what happened. Hurting and tired bodies can still hold incredible treasures. I met a patient I'll call Josephine on the ICU, but before I met her, I heard all about her from her medical team. In rounds, it was hard to get to the medical piece because everyone from her techs to her nurses to her doctors gushed about how wonderful she was. I was excited to meet her, and when I did, I got it. Josephine was warm and kind and gentle. Her heart was failing, and she was too weak for surgery. She was stuck in the ICU for weeks, and as we got to know each other better, I let her know that she was already beloved on the unit. "I'm nothing special," Josephine said. "I don't have a lot to offer, but I have time and attention, and you all work so hard, and I love people. I just remember what people tell me, and I care what life is like for them. I think that comes across, and I think it means something." Oh, it did. Over the 2 months that she was hospitalized, her care team shared story after story about how much of an impact Josephine had made on them from her hospital bed. Josephine wasn't able to recover and passed away with a room full of family and a crowd of healthcare workers standing just outside her room. When she died, her family and her providers wept together, all full of sorrow. Josephine saw her treasures as having the resources of time and attention. I saw that Josephine also had treasures of compassion, patience, and thoughtfulness, which guided how she used that time and attention. On the same unit, a very elderly man that I'll call Ernie was rushed in with a team of very stressed doctors. I was paged. "Allie, can you help see if you can calm Ernie down? He's so anxious. His body is very frail, and we don't want to have to give him additional medication." Ernie was awake and a little confused. He reached for my hand, and I held his. I asked him what makes him happy. He told me church. Everyone in the room looked at me. "What do you like most about church?" I asked. Ernie said, "On eagle's wings." Many people looked confused, but I knew exactly what he was talking about, and I wonder if some of you might too. I tried to remember the words to this familiar hymn. "Me too, Ernie." This was Nancy's voice now. Nancy had been a nurse here for years. "Why don't we sing it together?" And with that, Nancy started to sing and stunned us all. She had an amazing voice. Ernie joined her. He had a really good voice too. And as they sang, Ernie's anxiety calmed. His vitals improved. Nancy's voice is a treasure. Nancy's willingness to share her voice, her concern for our patient, those are treasures too. I'd like to tell you about one more patient, but this time I'm gonna share his real name because his story has been published online. Pat suffered from heart failure and lived on an ICU for a year, waiting for a heart transplant, and learned firsthand just how much support someone needs to get through this long process. When Pat successfully made it through his procedure and started adapting to a new life, he vowed to help others going through the same thing. Along with another patient, Pat started the Heart Brothers to provide financial, educational, and emotional support systems needed by heart failure patients and their families. Their resources include places for patients and families to stay and scheduled visits where patients waiting in the hospital can have visits from patients who have had and recovered from heart transplant procedures, and their families can similarly get connected with each other. For 10 years, hundreds and hundreds of patients and loved ones have gotten help from Pat and his organization. Their impact is invaluable. Earlier this year, Pat returned to the ICU, his body sick beyond repair. Pat knew that he was dying. We asked Pat's permission to thank him, and Pat and his family agreed to a legacy walk. We invited Pat's care providers to meet in the hospital hallway to thank him for all that he had done. Hundreds of doctors, techs, nurses, social workers, therapists, chaplains, kitchen workers, and other patients gathered and lined the hallways holding up paper hearts. We clapped to thank Pat for all that he had given. Pat took his experience and saw unmet needs and created an organization to help. He used his business, fundraising, and people skills. He brought his compassion and dedication. His treasures were multiplied with each person that he had helped. Sometimes our treasures are not the qualities we have or even the resources we have, but they are the lessons that we learn. With her permission, I'd like to tell you about a lesson our Queen Cheryl learned, a lesson that has benefited all of us here. I recently thanked Queen Cheryl for all the work she does to welcome us at the front doors and inside this space. "Sweetie," she said with a burst of energy, "I know you've got to work on your sermon, but let me tell you the story of what got me to the door." Queen Cheryl moved to our suburbs from out of state and was longing for community. She tried a gay-friendly church, and even though it was very small and easy to pick out visitors, no one welcomed her. No one visited with her. She tried another church much farther away. Near the end of the service, people clumped together, and there was no one near her. Lonely and eyes closed, Queen Cheryl felt a hand on her back. Someone got up and walked 4 pews just so that I didn't have to sit alone. It changed everything. I drove a long distance to that church for a long time because one person made the effort to be beside me. And now I am always looking to see where the guests are, to make sure they aren't alone. Everything that happens at our door is because someone whose name I don't even know, someone made the effort to walk over to me and put their hand on my back. Queen Cheryl's kind church neighbor had treasures of compassion and hospitality. Their treasures taught our queen important lessons, and now we all get to benefit from Queen Cheryl's beautiful, colorful, loving hospitality. Thank you, Queen Cheryl. Regrets can bear incredible treasures. When we mess up and we feel the pain of our mistake and really give this our attention, We can learn so much from what we did wrong. This learning can make us live much better, making our regrets treasures. I've told this story before, but I think it's worth telling again. This is the story of a patient that I called Jane. When I was a student chaplain, and this was the first big mistake I made. In graduate school, you learn a lot about boundaries and not crossing boundaries. Jane came to the hospital with advanced cancer. She hadn't sought medical care in decades and had been living without a home and without people for a long time. It was my first week as a student chaplain, and I watched her kick provider after provider out of her room, one by one, often yelling at them. I was terrified. I didn't want to go in, but I knew I had to. Jane took pity on me. "What do you think you can do for me, chaplain?" she said. I didn't know. I'd like to learn, I told Jane. And over the next 2 weeks, I learned a lot about Jane. I learned about her love of animals, the ways the world had hurt her, and the fears that continue to paralyze her. The team couldn't treat her cancer and made plans for Jane to go to a hospice home. It will be so peaceful and so nice, the case manager who had worked very hard to get her this place told Jane. Jane did not want to hear it. The woman who was furious to be in the hospital now didn't want to leave. "Please, just let me die here where I know people. I won't take up much space. I'll have a roommate." It was heartbreaking. Healthcare can be heartbreaking. She couldn't stay. Marguerite, a veteran social worker, and I accompanied her stretcher to the elevator. It was time to say goodbye. I leaned in first. Jane looked right at me. "I love you," she said. I froze. Wasn't I not supposed to say that to a patient? Wouldn't I break boundaries? I didn't really know if I was ever supposed to say that. I didn't hear it much growing up. "I care about you," I said. Jane's face dropped. I knew immediately that I had made a big mistake. Luckily, I had a Marguerite, my veteran social worker who knew so much better. "And we love you. We are going to call and check on you," Marguerite said in a moment. I've never forgotten Jane's face. I've never forgotten the immediate regret, knowing that my response was hollow at a time when Jane needed to be able to express love and hear it back. I think about Jane and I learn from her again and again all these years later. My regret continues to shape my behavior. I know that love exists in so many relationships, and I know that love is the most important thing there is. I love more deeply because of Jane. I love my patients. I love all of you. Love is not only the spirit of this church, but love is the spirit of humanity. My failure to fully love Jane and all that this has taught me is one of my greatest treasures. My beloved friends, how often do you think about your treasures? Let's take stock. What skills do you have? What resources do you have? What qualities do you have? What values do you hold? What lessons have you learned? What are your regrets? What have they taught you, and what can they teach you? Sometimes the world is so dark, or we are so tired that we can't see our treasures. This is where community is so important. We can see each other's treasures. What do you see around you in this beloved spiritual community? Who do you admire? Who has taught you something? Who has helped you? Who has shared with you? Who has loved you? Can you tell them? Let's remind each other of our treasures. The world can trick us into thinking all we ever need to do is be someone else, that we always need more. And while growth and change are important, it is also important to remind ourselves of our goodness and of our worth. Miss Rimpius used her learned lessons and her resources to make the world more beautiful with flowers. How will you make our world more beautiful? How have you already made our world more beautiful? Please remember that you can make the world more beautiful because you already have so much beauty within you. I have no doubt that each of you is a treasure chest. As we prepare to enter 2025, take some time to take stock of your treasures. Cherish each one. Carefully carry them with you into the new year. We need you. We need your treasures. Amen.
The storm is coming, but I don't mind. People are dying. I close my blinds. All that I know that I know is I'm breathing. All I can do is keep breathing. All we 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 can do is keep breathing now.
Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. It's up to us, and our generosity continues to be astounding. Thank you for your commitment to our staff, our building, and our beloved spiritual community. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. Today, we share our plate with Arlington Street's own Friday night supper program, which has served home-cooked meals to our hungry and unhoused neighbors since 1984. I remember growing up here at ASC, and when the air turned cold, we as kids would gather and make scarves during one of the services. Those scarves, in addition to hats and mittens, would be handed out to people who came to ASC on Friday nights. I also remember me and my friend Morgan painting a mural in the stairwell so that they would be welcomed with art as they came down to our parish hall. I am proud of the work we were doing then, and I am proud of the work that we do now. I'm honored to be a part of this community and to support this program. Please take a moment now to join me in giving to sustain our beloved Arlington Street. You can give online at ascboston.org or find instructions in the order of service for giving via QR code, Venmo, or text message. You can also mail a check to the church or use the envelopes in the pews, which can be given to the ushers as they come through momentarily with collection plates. Thank you for your generosity.
I invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer. Source of all love and great mystery, as we end this year, let loving attention envelop our pains. Let light come for us, especially when we are lost in darkness. Let hope live even through great loss and fear. May we see ourselves as nothing less than treasures. May we see each other as nothing less than treasures. May we enter into this new year with open hearts, open hands, open minds. And let love be our greatest guide on this journey together. Amen. Our closing hymn is This Little Light of Mine, which can be found as number 118 in your gray hymnal, with the words also printed in your order of service and in the Zoom chat. Please rise in body, rise in spirit, and join in singing This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All through the night, I'm gonna let it shine. All through the night, I'm gonna let it shine. All through the night, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Before our benediction, I invite those of you in the Zoom room to please reach out your hands and touch the sides of your square. And those of you in the sanctuary to please raise your hands, palms out. Let's send loving kindness to the people to your left and to your right. Send loving kindness to the person on either side of you and to the people on either side of them. Send out love into this beloved spiritual community and feel it coming back to you. As you feel it coming back, bring your hands back to your heart center to carry the love that is the spirit of this congregation with you wherever you go. Our benediction is titled, For When You Need to Be Reminded of Who You Are. You came to us entirely innocent and vulnerable, and you sometimes need to cry out for help. You are our child. You are made of everlasting potential, and you are always on the horizon of all that you can be. You are a sunrise. The vastness of you is extraordinary and incomprehensible. Your heart, your mind, your body have powerful depths. You are an ocean. You are made of what we desperately need. You have love and ideas to soften, inspire, transform. You are the full moon in the night sky. You are made of everything good. You are holy and sacred and our connection to the divine. You are a rainbow. If ever this world tricks you into thinking you are inconsequential or unwanted, remember that you are made of the most incredible wonders. You are everything. Let us keep this faith, beloveds, and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. I love you. Amen.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.